opposition.
Thank you, Speaker. Confusing answer to that question, can I just say, because I just finished explaining that the Toronto Region Conservation Authority says you can't build there. Anyways, Speaker, my next question. This morning, we learned of some troubling allegations that have come to light regarding the Greater Toronto Hockey League. Allegations that suggest that the teams in the league, which is supposed to be, by the way, non-profit, are being bought and sold for millions. The owners are avoiding having to pay taxes on the whole thing. To make matters worse, Speaker, wealthy parents are buying the ability to influence team rosters, dashing the dreams of players as young as 9 years old from playing the sport that they love. Speaker, my question is to the Premier. Will this government investigate these very serious allegations and do its part to put an end to cash for access culture in amateur hockey?
Tourism, culture, and sport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thanks for the question from the Leader of the Opposition. I'd also, I don't know if he's here, like to thank Mr. Alou as Chairman of the Hockey Diversity Alliance for the work that he has done in building and supporting communities that haven't had an opportunity to participate in hockey by funding. And we as a ministry are thankful and happy to support what he is doing. But I will also tell you on specifically, as a guy who's been involved in sport a long time, coached rep hockey and rep football, I take these allegations very seriously. And as a result, at this time, these allegations, they're being investigated by the GTHL. Now, the GTHL executives have actioned an independent investigation with respect to ethical issues of influence and governance. And yes, they're taking it seriously. And I know they're taking it seriously because they have hired a retired justice from the Ontario Court of Appeal and a retired police detective to do the investigation.
Supplementary question.
I'll tell you, Speaker, I was hoping for a yes. I was just hoping for a yes. It is not good enough, Speaker, to have the GTHL investigate themselves. I'm sorry. With all due respect. Akim Aliou, who the Minister just mentioned, is here with us today in the members gallery. He is a former NHL player with Calgary Flames and the chair of the Hockey Diversity Alliance. And he came to this government, to the Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport, months ago. Months ago, Akim showed the minister documents that formed the basis for these allegations, but nothing happened on the provincial end. And he is hoping, and he is demanding, that this cash for access culture end, that kids are able to play based on their ability, their talent, not if their parents are able to buy them a spot on the team. Speaker, back to the Premier. Will this government launch a public investigation into these allegations and close any loopholes that may allow numbered shell companies to buy and sell kids' hockey teams?
Tourism, culture, and sport.
Mr. Speaker, the ministry does not have a direct relationship with membered organizations as a provincial sport organizations and has no authority. The GTHL is a member of the Ontario Hockey Federation. And that's why you asked about action. There is action being taken. It's being taken, as I use the word, independently of the GTHL, which means, Mr. Speaker, that is separate from the GTHL executives. Once that information comes back, and you're right, if there is information that we need to follow up with the Ontario Hockey Federation, we will do exactly that. Now, the member opposite might want to shake their heads at what we're doing, but there is a process that we will go through, and if necessary, we will act based on the information we get from the investigation.
The final supplementary, the member for St. Catharines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hockey is important to me, as it's important to countless Ontarians across the province. It is part of our identity. I was the first female to play on my elementary hockey team. My daughter was the only female to play on the local boys hockey team at a competitive level. Now I'm a hockey grandma. And just as hockey is part of our identity, so are our values of fairness, inclusion, and accessibility. And we know it is not right when even the most talented children cannot play because their parents cannot buy off a spot on the team. Speaker, to the Premier, will you do what is right and make sure children are able to play based on their abilities and their talent?
Okay. Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No, I wasn't applauding. I will applaud that statement because in all my years of coaching, I couldn't agree more at all levels that young people in amateur sport, all the way up to university, need to be judged on their play and who they are to be part of a team. Nothing else is acceptable. And if there is other things going on as being suggested, we will find that out through this investigation. I will tell you, no one is more passionate about creating opportunity for young people in sport because of what it does and how it helps young people through the process. When we find this out, if in fact there is something to find out, you can shake your heads all you want. I know a little bit more about this space than you might, and I will tell you that we will act if necessary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Stop the clock.
This guy's like fucking assholes.
Members will please take their seats. Order. Order. The House will come to order. Order. The member for Carleton will come to order.
What a stupid move.
Member for Brampton North come to order.
And of course, it's government people bipping off.
Start the clock. The next question.
Nobody gets warned.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Global News just broke this story. Ontario Place for All has submitted 7 Freedom of Information requests to the Ministry of Infrastructure, and for each of these 7 requests, this government has withheld the requested information. One request was for the lease agreement between the Ontario government and the private Austrian spa at Ontario Place. This agreement handcuffs this generation and future generations of Ontarians into spending an estimated $650 million taxpayer dollars and cost-sharing operational costs for the next 95 years. Why won't this government release the lease agreement so that the people of Ontario can judge for ourselves whether this is a good deal?
Minister of Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, let me just take things back a bit, okay?
We're saving it.
2019, we announced our vision for the site. We announced we
didn't
wanted to
hear it.
invest in the site to bring it back to life.
Never heard it.
2021, we went out to the public again
No, you
and
didn't.
informed them of the tenants that we were negotiating with. And then just last week, the Premier and I and the Minister of Tourism and Culture and Sport were out again to inform the public of the progress that we are making on the site. But
Didn't
you know what
ask
we've
us,
done?
though.
We have learned from the past mistakes of past governments. We will have tenants that are going to invest capital in the site to build a brand new all year round stage, Mr. Speaker. We will have Therme that will build a wellness and sports rec facility and water slides with 12 acres of public realm. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we will have tenants that will actually be contributing to the annual maintenance and repairs of the site. So that
Unlike you guys, right?
into disrepair, like under their watch.
Oh my God, that's not true.
The supplementary question, member for Parkdale High Park.
Thank you, Speaker. Since the Minister didn't answer the question previously, I'll ask again. At the announcement to move the Ontario Science Centre last week, the Minister of Infrastructure said the business case that showed it was more expensive to renovate the Science Centre than build a new one would be made public in due time. The Minister then said that she would release the business case to the public once the numbers were verified and triple-checked. The Minister is now claiming that the business case is confidential and will not be released after all. The people of Ontario deserves answers. Show us the business case. Why the secrecy?
Members will please take their seats.
Oh, of course. Somebody will.
Minister of Infrastructure.
Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite, but please don't put words in my mouth that is completely inaccurate and inappropriate. But what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, is making the site sustainable. we will have 3 wonderful tenants, Science Center, Therme, and Live Nation. Live Nation and Therme will now be contributing to the site, to the maintenance repairs, to keep the site clean, to keep the site beautiful. Why? Because we don't want it to fall into disrepair like it was under the watch of the Liberal government. We want this site to be open for years and years and years and generations to come, so that families have a wonderful place that they can enjoy with their families. Mr. Speaker, that is what we heard from the public through the annual consultation process that has been taking place for several years.
Response.
People want access to the site and they want to enjoy it with their families.